Here we go for another edition of the MLOps Coffee Sessions. This is the first podcast of the year, and we've got two incredible engineers from Neoway joining us, Frata and Breno. Thank you guys. I know you're coming in from Brazil right now, so fala todo galera from Brazil. We're excited to talk to you guys, man. We've also, as usual, got Vishnu with us. What's happening, Vishnu?
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So today there's some incredible stuff. I mean, Frata and Breno, just for a little context for everybody, they wrote one of our latest blog posts on the MLOps.community blog, which was an update to a blog they had written a few years ago, or a year ago almost. And that was explaining how they built their feature store. And I know that Frata and I talked, and he told me that in 2019, they needed this tool for their data scientists, and the platform team set out to build something that would help them reuse features and store features. And then later in 2020, they realized, oh, wait a minute, I think we just built what is now this popular thing called the feature store. So it was really cool to see how they did that, the updated version. We'll leave a link to that article below. But what we wanted to talk about today is really diving into the fundamentals of the platform team at Neoway. Forgive me if I pronounce it incorrectly, but also the team composition. I really want to look at it and consider this a talk about how MLOps is so much more than just the tech. And I think we should probably start by just getting to know Neoway. Breno, you want to kick us off, man? What do you guys do there, and why do you need ML? What does it look like in the Neoway, new way, however you pronounce it? You're going to tell me right now how you pronounce it correctly.
Nice. The right pronunciation is Neoway.
Neoway.
And first of all, thanks for having me here. And I've been a machine learning engineer at Neoway for 3 years, and I'm currently working on the machine learning platform team with Frata and Manuel and Victor. We are now a team of 4 members, and Neoway we are providing some service for the internal teams to make their work more productive. And yeah, we have developed some functionalities for feature engineering, data pipelines, and model deployment, model monitoring, and so on. And I'm excited with this conversation because we have a lot of experience, a lot of error and learning.
Nice.
To share with
Yeah,
you.
I'm super stoked to talk to you guys. And I know you've given me a little bit of a sneak preview on the next blog post that you're going to put out. So, Frata, can you explain to us, though, like, what do you do? What does Neoway do?
Yeah. So, as Breno said, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's been a pleasure. It is a pleasure to be here. I work at Neoway for 4 years now. I think started as an intern, now doing machine learning with this amazing team. Neoway is a company that provides solutions for improving the decision making and productivity of their customers, right? So it collects data from open sources of Brazil. You can think of our Receita Federal would be the internal revenue services, for instance, and also for other sources like the law firm. There is a open of the country, right? And also from partners, and gathers all this data and combines to build these types of solutions. For instance, you can we have a product that you can upload a customer portfolio, and then with the primary key. So here in Brazil, we call it CNPJ. It is a unique identifier of a company. And then you can upload your portfolio, and this product will search on our database and score your most promising leads, right? So you can feed this to your sales pipeline. And this type of data, so we have this company data. We have 4 million companies in Brazil right now, and 220 million people. We have also people data. And to give you a grasp of this type of data, so it's structured data, it's most tabular. We have some cases with unstructured data. We have a team that we call legal analysis that do NLP on the lawyer's data. But most of our pipeline and products comes from this structured data.
Okay, so that's super useful because the next question that I had around the team structures of, I know that we'll get into it, but there is a platform team that is specifically there to help the data scientists and help machine learning. And there's a data platform and then there's a machine learning platform. But can you tell us a little bit about the organizational structure of the way that you all have built the teams so that they can be effective and they can be very useful? And really, when you're looking at the platform team and also like the data scientists, is it just a ton of data scientists? What does it look like? And maybe Frata, you can give me that quick overview.
So right now we are structured in we can call it as how can I say that? Actually, let me go back a little bit to explain this context. So the company was organized into functional areas. So we had we had data scientists, we have application, customer experience, and we had these silos that caused some communications issues during the software development. And we started as a small team, so we were struggling, for instance, to get historical data and how to deploy it to the model, how to deploy the model into production, right? So it was really hard to pass through all the architecture of the company. And we did a redesign a few months ago. I'm gonna let Breno talk about it because he was one of the concepts of this redesign.
Okay, as Frata said, we for a long time we were organized in functional areas, and we have some communication difficulties during software development and delivery. And as a part of the data science team, we at that time we were not a part of a platform team, and the data scientists and machine learning engineers working together in the same team. And it was hard to get the data in a suitable structure that we were needing for the modeling tasks. For example, it was hard to put a data science model because all of these tasks were dependent on another team and so on. And the result was inefficiency in delivery business value. And this is bad because the team is demotivated when there are bottlenecks to deliver end-to-end solutions. And more than 2 years ago, we were part of team redesign in the company and to mitigate those factors. And, we are technical people, but as we can share our experience passing through this change. I'm not a people manager or product manager, but if you want, I can talk a little bit about the team topology reference, if it was good. And the team topology book was one of the reference used to redesign the teams, and that book brings some concepts on team design and capacity and suggests an approach to maximize the software delivery. And a main concept in the book is the Conway's law. I don't know if this concept is familiar with our audience, but the Conway's law is a theory that states that the software architecture is a copy of the team communication structure. in a company. And the book authors has suggested a different approach, a kind of reverse engineering of the Conway's law by redesigning the teams to match the desired architectures. And this is called the team first approach. And at Neoway, we have used those concepts to create teams more focused on the business value delivery, and the teams more focused on provide internal services, and they working together right now for maximizing the business value delivery.
Got it. You know, Frata and Breno, I read the blog post that Dimitrios talked about structuring your ML platform team. And I have to say to all of our listeners and to both of you, it stood out to me as one of the most thoughtful and intelligent discussions of how to put together the people and the technologies that make up an ML and data platform. And I don't say that lightly because I've read a lot of different blog posts here, right? And there are a number of different companies, Uber, Monzo, and Pinterest that stand out. And I must say this post really stood out for the depth of thought. And I'm excited that you're getting an opportunity and that we're getting an opportunity to share that with you guys. So I wanted to say that up front. Where I would love to take this conversation from where you just gave us a great background in terms of what Neoway does and how you guys started thinking about bringing your teams into alignment with the outcomes you wanted. What I want to start with is, as engineers, it's very easy for us to feel like organizational design and organizational sort of reshuffling is an impediment to our productivity. How did you guys feel when people came to you and said, the priority right now is getting our team structure right, instead of perhaps just focusing on writing code all day?
It's a good question because the first time I've heard about that, I was just curious because an organizational structure changes is very suffering depending on how it is implemented on the company. But we are needing a change. And what I can say is the team topology book, for example, maybe the secret of the book is to think in the teams as the software components. And we have the teams organized as software components in our architecture, and the authors proposed some things like team APIs. There is how to communicate with another teams, and there is different interaction modes that can be used for this purpose. And I think the secret of the book is think the team structure as a software structure and team design as a software design.
Yeah, I can add you a little bit also on your question, Vishnu, that in the beginning we are suffering a lot from the organization structure to get things on deployed. So we didn't felt like, oh no, another restructure, right? So as we participate on the decisions on how to restructure the organization, we thought a lot about how things would become, right? So okay, the team design is this. We have like these cells, and we have these groups of people, and how is going to be the communication flow to deploy a model, for instance. So we thought through, of course, it was a work from, I don't know, Breno, you can help me, it was 20 people from VP, CTO, tech leads. And so at this time, as we thought a lot about this restructure, we got in really easily, I would say. Opt in, right?
That it makes perfect sense, right? You saw the problems, you could feel them acutely. You weren't delivering the outcomes that you wanted to, and when people expressed this team topologies philosophy and Conway's law and said, "Hey, if we organize ourselves around the outcomes we want to deliver, we're all in." That makes perfect sense. And I really appreciate your guys buying into that philosophy and expressing it on this podcast because I think it's important for a lot of people to hear. One question I have, now that you've told us again about what Neoway does and sort of the problems that you guys were facing by virtue of your organizational structure, is I want to start to talk a little bit more about how you guys designed your team. In your blog post, you talk about platform teams, streamline teams, and cells. I thought this framework was brilliant. Frata, can you tell us a little bit more about how you actually designed the teams?
Yeah. So we have based on these concepts that we talk about on the team topologies, we divided the teams on two, like as you mentioned, platform and streamlines. So the platform teams, their main goal is to simplify the complexity of technologies for the streamline teams. So for instance, how can I deploy a Kubernetes server? How can I launch a Spark job? How can I add access easily in data lake? So the second goal of the platform team is to prevent the business from building parallel solutions, right? To not reinvent the wheel. So we are talking about reusability and scale. So at Neoway, we have these platform teams, but they can also act as enablement teams where this kind of teams, they give like a consultancy for other teams. So I can give an examples of the engineering productivity team that we have. They help the machine learning platform team to create, for instance, a base template to launch the infrastructure of a Spark cluster, right? Really specific stuff. And the other types of teams that is the streamline alignment ones. On Neoway's case, they would be the product and services. So you can think of a vertical on Neoway is the sales and marketing or risk compliance team. And we also have the customer services team. So this is the structure, and that they have this communication between the teams. So the string align teams, they have a X as a service manner communication. This is a concept defined in the book. So they talk to the machine learning platform using a defined channel through documentation, through also tickets from Jira, if the company does that. So other types of communication would be facilitators. So in our case, we have data platform and machine learning platform helping these teams to use the products and use this tooling that we developed, right? So we can give like tips and tricks, the best approach, how you can deploy your model through this case here, right? I think it's worth, I don't know, you wanna ask something?
No, please keep going.
Okay. So I think it's worth mentioning the interaction between the data platform and machine learning platform also. So because these two teams, they have like collaboration, but also they interact in an interface that's access their servers. So in the data platform now, we have services to ingestion, storage, and retrieval of data, right? So the main component would be the schema registry. So all data has to be registered there. So it ensures backwards compatibility and all that good stuff that don't break. This will not break on production, right? The schema will be this one. It has also other services. So like Data Hub, that would be the main streaming platform, the main bus of data. Data Lake, so also the data API, so you can consume the data via REST API. And the machine learning platform uses all of these services to build their tooling on top of that. So the key here is to give a productivity to also to the machine learning platforms, to not reinvent the wheel, right? So I can, as you guys mentioned, we released the feature store blog post. So this is an example that we have some parts, some features of the feature store goes through all of these services of the data platform, right? We also have
Got it.
we also have components on deployment and a pipeline, a machine learning pipeline also that uses the data lake and data hub.
Got it. So that was a really helpful overview of how the teams are set up and how the machine learning platform and the data platform sort of enable one another. And one thing I do want to ask you guys, and maybe I can ask you here, Breno, is there's a really, really nice way in the blog post that you describe how cells interact with one another. And you mentioned some elements of this, Frata, in terms of talking about facilitating, X as a service. Like, you have very defined ways. Can you tell me what those ways are that cells interact, the three different ways, and how you guys were able to define them so cleanly? It's really remarkable.
First of all, those concepts is from the book, were not defined, and the credits is for the authors. But it's there are three main interaction modes: collaboration, facilitating, access service. Collaboration is when teams work together for a defined period of time to discover new things and work together with a project to deliver and so on. Facilitating is a team helping and mentoring another team on a specific topic. And acts as a service is when a team provides and another team consumes something as a service, such as self-service APIs, for example. And our experience showed that those interaction modes is real and they work it fine. And you need to define what is the best interaction mode to use with a specific team or with a project. For example, we have a cell called sales and marketing, and we are working with that cell for a long time, and that cell has experienced data scientists we know, and they collaborate with us on the building of our services. And right now we are using X as a service interaction mode, and they can use our feature store SDK, for example, just look on the documentation, and it's fine for us. We have no support with them, but there is another team that are more junior members that don't know well what is feature store or what is schemas, and we need to facilitate for them to discover the things and explain some concepts, and
Got it. That makes a ton of sense. And
So I'm wondering about the differences when it comes to the platform and how you deal with the structured data and the unstructured data and the platform that services both of these different use cases. Does it have to be a wildly different platform?
So I can start with this one. As I explained earlier, like 90% of the data is structured. So we started building this platform thinking a lot about this structured data, most of batch services, right? These cases of unstructured data, they came around 2019, right, Breno, when Neoway acquired another company that was legal analysis, I think. So they had their own platform And throughout these years, we started an integration. So, for instance, they would register some data of the law firms on the schema registry, right? But today, we're still working as two independent platforms, right? So they have their own pipelines, their own databases, and we have this other section. So in the future, of course, we tend to integrate it all in one platform. If that makes sense.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that it makes total sense. It makes total sense. Now, I would love to understand. I know our users, our listeners really want to understand, the technical components of this, right? So, walk me through what it was like and how long it took to put a model in production before this redesign and before this sort of organizational overhaul, and what it's like to put a model into production now if I am a data scientist on the sales and marketing cell in a stream-aligned team. Maybe Frata, you want to take a stab at that?
I'll let Breno speak a little bit.
Okay, before the team redesign, we were a single team with the data scientists, machine learning engineers, and data ops professional. And data scientist was responsible for building the model and produce a model repository and generate some artifacts. And we had another profession that is a data ops profession that was responsible to get those artifacts and put a data science model into production. And for this purpose, the data ops professional was responsible to talk with 2 or 3 different teams and to make a lot of different configurations, change some databases, and create some JSON files and so on. It was a very non-productive process for us. And today, after the team redesign, we split the responsibilities, and we have a sales and market cell with software engineers that is responsible for develop the application part to the end user. We have data scientists working on the model will be presented to the end users. And we, as a machine learning platform, we provide some tools and templates for supporting the data scientists in this process. And data scientist is capable to do all the necessary steps, since from data exploration, model training, to model deployment and monitoring. And we got this thinking our platform as a product, and we needed at that time to produce some tools and service that is very easy to use. And we focus on, for example, we have a data science model template that have batteries included to make to write the Python models, to run unit integration tests, to run the CI pipelines, to deploy, to publish Docker images in the registry, to run the model into the production, and to deploy as a part of the overall architecture.
And just to add a little bit, Vishnu. So as Breno explained, it was really hard before, right? Data scientists has to have this software engineering skill, right? And most of them are from diverse backgrounds, so economists, physicists. So it was really hard to put a working model into production, and it could took like it could take maybe 2 weeks, three, depending where the model, the data should go, right? Today, with the feature store and all the platform, you can deploy a model like the data on the web's application through a single command on the feature store. So you configure where it should go, and then pass through all that service that I explained earlier to Data Hub, and then goes to the APIs. For instance, we have some other service that if you want to make available features for other models, you can simply, through a merge request, you can open like the recipe, and then that will be available. I don't know how much time it takes usually, the merge request, but it may be a week. I don't know, because it has to review the code to make sure everything is all right. So it's way easier now to put things, to make things available, right?
This is cool. This is cool. And it reminds me of the Stitch Fix platform team discussion that we had with Stefan Kravchik. It was a couple months ago. Highly recommend our listeners take a look at it. But this is the same sort of context that they were trying to define a platform. And Stitch Fix, in their company, they define it as, a full stack data scientist, right? And they want their ML platform team to enable data scientists to be as full stack as possible. And it sounds like you guys have a very similar philosophy. And I think it's interesting that in two different places, without talking, the same solution emerges, right? It means that there's probably something here. And so with that in mind, I want to go into a little bit more of a sort of rapid fire thing in terms of understanding, really the entire context here. So I'm gonna volley between the two of you. I'm gonna start with Breno. Breno, how many people are on the machine learning platform team, or on platform teams in general, and how many people are you guys supporting?
Okay. Right now, we have 4 technical people on our machine learning platform team. Me, Frata, Manuel, and Victor. Cheers for them. And we are working together for 2 years, and we are supporting different kind of people. Maybe you have 15 data scientists working on the streamlining cells. We have users that are data engineers from another cells, and yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, maybe
Got it,
20
got it.
people. Yeah.
And that, I can imagine the interesting thing about platform though is that, the scaling, it can happen in a funky way, right? So it's not just like, 1-to-1, right? You're going to add one more person to your platform team and you can support 5, 10, 15 more people. That's the beauty of investing in platform. Now, Frata, I want to ask you, one thing that stood out to me when I'm looking at your entire blog post is that it's not just about the people component and the organizational component of the platform that impressed me. It's also the technical component, right? I mean, it seems like you guys are heavily leveraging Kubernetes. You guys are using Airflow. You guys are using BigQuery, MongoDB, like a lot of different technologies. Talk to me about how you guys settled on your tech stack to make it both manageable and also address all your technical needs.
Okay. So we came from a migration from a cloud provider. We joined Google, I don't know, 1 year ago. So we were having problems on scale back then, and during this migration, we started a lot of tests. So most of the Google technologies are recent, right? So, but the data platform had all this platform before, like a alpha version of the current platform, that they use MongoDB, they use a lot of Golang to structure the service in an API, and that. So they have a lot of skills on these technologies, right? So when we we joined Google, we started to putting things together, like testing, like BigQuery, for instance. A team that uses a lot of this technology is the BI solutions team. It's easier for them to open the console and do the queries there. We talk about Airflow. Airflow, it's a long partner of our platform. I remember Breno was not on the team yet. We all remember we discussing, guys. We need to schedule our models into productions. How are we going to do? You know that I know this library Airflow. It's on 0 dot something. Let's try it out, right?
Wow.
And we built a lot of things around it, like integration with the Kubernetes server. And we still on Airflow because it's boring technology that works, right? There's a lot of new libraries that are shiny and have a lot of features, but Airflow solves our problems on most of the cases. You mentioned also Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes is a recent thing. We tried out a lot of things before. So we didn't use Spark at all. So we developed on the single machine. Of course, we have problems with that. Then on Google, we tried with the compute engine, like the single machines, right? And once we started to looking for tools for distributed computing, right? And we integrated Spark. We saw the benefits. So we started with Dataproc, testing a lot of Dataproc. At some point, one guy that left the company years ago, he was doing some experiments, and he saw value on using it's a package called Jupyter Enterprise Gateway, where you can run your notebooks locally, but you connect to a cluster, and then the cells run remotely, right? And we use that for a long time, but the load of maintenance of the Jupyter was heavy, right? So we went back to Dataproc. That right now we understand better the technology. So we developed, for instance, CLI to launch the cluster. So one problem that we have with the Jupyter Enterprise Gateway is that compete for resources, right? We are at 10 data scientists. We have a limit of I don't remember, 20 pods, and then someone like launched a 18 pod configuration. And what about the others, right? Right now with Dataproc, everyone has its own cluster, right? Using wisely, right? We always remember them that. Let's not waste money, right? And then so it was all about experiment and coming together as this current snapshot of the platform, right? We are still trying out some things, so we tend to not change the technologies a lot now, because we are now we have a foundation, right? So we have to give more value to the users. Of course, we are always open to new technology, but we have to test it out first, do some talks, see how it's going to integrate with the platform. That's the modus operandi. Right?
Yeah, it makes complete sense with
I have
the evolution. Go ahead, Breno.
So I have a point here because Neoway is a different company from the most of other companies, in the sense data for us is not only used for the data science models. For example, data is used as a business model, and Neoway has a mature data platform with capabilities for collection, treatment, ingestion, and presentation on our platform, or delivered via APIs. And in this sense, a lot of problems we are facing as a machine learning platform team were faced for the data platform team in the past. And for example, the schema evolution problem, and they developed a schema registry with API available to be used. And we are building our services on top of it, and a lot of service already is used by the data platform team, like search, Elasticsearch, MongoDB, for 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 providing a service for our customers to get data. And we are building our platform on the giant shoulders and this is we have a lot of benefits in this way. For example, as the business now's business model is related to the data and sell data, we also can sell our features from the feature store, for example, and we
Got it.
we can focus on produce a good feature store with a good developer experience, uh, incentivize the user to write new features, and we have more than 700 features, curated features on our database, because they are sold to the clients, for example.
This is a really important point. You have basically said that data is a strategic asset at Neoway in a way that required you to get the data platform right from the beginning. And because that was the case, because the data platform needed to be engineered well and actually solve problems for the company in an efficient and timely fashion, you had a template to say, okay, the data platform works. How can the machine learning platform work in a way that the data platform does? And I think that that's a big lesson, going back to a previous thing that Demetrius and I talked about in our last conversation about how the modern data stack is the foundation for machine learning, right? If you if you treat data properly, if you have everything set up the right way, it becomes a lot easier to do machine learning, which is exactly what you just shared there, Breno. So thanks for that. I know that Demetrius has been a little quiet here lately, so I want him to ask a couple questions.
I got booted off. These guys kicked me out of the conversation and my computer froze, but I'm back. So if I repeat anything that has already been said, forgive me. What I really am wondering about, and I'll give you a little bit of context around this, because we're trying to create a tooling summit in March or April, which is kind of on the DL right now. But since I just said it, in case anybody wants to get in touch, what I want to do with the tooling summit is just give a bit of a better idea of the landscape of all the tools that are out there for MLOps. And I put it in Slack, and someone wrote, well, what about the difficulties and what it takes to create your own whatever X tool? So whether that's a monitoring platform or a feature store like you all created. And so I am wondering here, because I've heard some people talk about how you need to get one engineer for every new tool that you bring on, because it's so hard to upkeep with that tool that you're bringing on. And so if you have a platform team, you need one engineer per every new tool. I'm looking at you guys, and you have a fairly trimmed down team. I think it's 5 in total, right? It doesn't seem like it's outrageous. You have a lot of infrastructure that you're maintaining. How does it look? Like, what does it entail? How long does it take to build these internal tools? Is it something that you have to build because of the way that you're structured? Or is it just because you started so early, there was nothing on the market yet? Like, can you break down this sentiment for those who want to roll their own? And since you all have already done that, like, what are some do's and don'ts? What are some challenges that one can expect when they're going to get into it like this? And maybe Frata, you can hit us first with that.
Yeah, just to explain a little bit, we are 4 on the platform, machine learning platform. I think we are 5 on the data platform now. Breno, I don't remember. On the search engine team, we have 3 now. So we have a great group, the platform group that we call. We have maybe 15. We have PO and Scrum Master. And so we have a lot of people doing this support to keep the services running, right? And as for us, the challenges, I can mention some more related to the first thing is to know what you're gonna wanna address, right? To frame the problem correctly, because we started building the solutions in the past. Like I mentioned before on the previous post that I released in 2019, we have like a features builder project. We thought it was a good solution, but people started using, but we didn't thought a lot on the developer experience at that time. So eventually, it was really hard for the data science to put features there, right? So we have to not only think on the tech side, but see what, okay, we need a engine to calculate features. How are we going to do that? Who is going to use that, right? How much going to take? Like, this is a hard question, right? But you have to see, okay, I have to do this. I have to have this like in 6 months, 1 year, 3 months. How much it's hurting our team, right? So we started the process of building this new generation of the platform by first interviewing the users. So we created the some personas. As Breno mentioned, we have data scientists, we have data engineers, we have data scientists that work with customers, we have data scientists that work on product. They model development cycle is different, right? Data science working with customers is way faster than the data science that work on the product. So we interview them. We ask some questions like what was your the pain that was hurting the most, right? What tips you have to us to improve our developer experience, and with we collected these questions, and then we build some story map to see, okay, we have these problems, we have this part of the model deployment life cycle, right? We have feature engineer, we have explorer, EDA, right? We have deployment of the model, we have the monitoring, and then the cycles goes back. So we created an Excel sheet with all this kind of story map to see, okay, what we're going to prioritize here, right? Is it the feature engineer part? Is it the deployment? So we started doing these things like a product, right? Thinking about the users, thinking about what would bring value faster. So I can keep going, but I think that the whole idea is this, like to put the users on the center and think about them always. And that we learn on the hard way if possible, right?
That is an incredibly powerful lesson. Breno, you want to add to that?
Yeah. Today, I've read some blog posts on create a platform as a product. There is a hot topic here on the product manager, I suppose. And as a machine learning platform team with deeply technical engineers, we may be tempted to solve the problems only from a technical perspective by considering aspects such as scalability, reliability, maintainability, and so on. Those things are important, but the platform solutions can't fail at the user adoption. And the platform has a higher cost compared to the streamlining solutions, for example. And what Frata said is very important. We need to put the user on the center, talk with user and listen to the user, what they are, what the pain points, what the difficulties they are dealing with. And from that conversations prioritize the best thing to generate value, and to avoid creating monsters of software, because there is a cost on the long term to maintain this, and the best code is no code at all.
No code. Beware the monsters. Beware the monsters.
That I feel like is the best way to wrap up this conversation, which is don't write code. I'm just kidding. But that is a great way in terms of thinking about, what is the biggest lesson here as a platform team, and in terms of how to make the business better, right? It's to put the needs of your customers first, right? And to think from that need standpoint. And that is the lesson, whether it's you're the business as a whole or you're a team within the business supporting another team, and trying to help create that value. And I think that's a great way to wrap this conversation. Frata and Breno, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited. I actually think this blog post will become a series for us. And, I think it'll be really cool to see, your journey documented both on this podcast and in blog. And thank you guys again for joining us and sharing your lessons.
Yeah, and I love the fact that this is just like you guys talking about stuff that is not super like you're repeating the ethos that we have, which is it's not always about tech. And you really need to be aware of the people component and the way that you structure things and the way that you plan things, the way that you manage projects. And so it's really cool to see.
I just I just wanna thank you guys for the inviting us, and for the effort with the MLOps community. I've learned a lot since 2020 with the Slack discussions, meetups, and coffee sessions, and thank you.
Awesome. So cool.
Yeah, I actually when I joined the community, I talked to Demetrius. We had a conversation, and by far, this is the most organized community that I've joined. It's amazing the work that you guys are doing. So thank you for having us here and to have these discussions, and focus on the clients, like on the users. Remember that we are tech, we're nerds. I know that we want to build this shiniest thing, but we have to think about the data scientists using the stuff, right? They
So
don't
pragmatic.
have the same background as us. So
Yeah.
thank you again.